Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
This is a catastrophe.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
That's what I wished for when I blew out my candle.
Locking down the middle of the day. Live from the Raising Cane studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
The floor is yours.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Raising Cane studio downtown in the capital city on this Wednesday. Means you're brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools. About half the work week in the rear view mirror. Appreciate you hanging out with us. Got Jordan Kitchens and Cassie Spazzali back. We thought she moved to Nashville, but she has decided to regrace us with her presence. We're off and running here on this Wednesday and plenty to do. Fired up to do it. What If Wednesday coming your way in 30 minutes. Zach Pearson is going to join us at the end of hour number one. Left-handed pitcher for the Tigers now is a nurse practitioner with Ochsner. So for our segment, which is every 2 weeks with Ochsner on Wednesdays, we'll chat some LSU baseball as well as the goings-on over at Ochsner with Zach Pearson. So looking forward to that conversation. North Carolina State is suing LSU and Will Wade. Where's that going to go? We'll discuss it in hour number two. Kellen Moore met with the media earlier today. Saints OTAs in its third and final week this week, so we'll chat about that in hour number two as well. So as you can see, plenty to do. You know where we're going to start. We'll dive in now.
Welcome to the big league.
It's time for Hunt's Opening Drive. Presented by Fabry Chevrolet GMC in St. Francisville.
I told y'all yesterday that LSU really needed an outfielder and really needed a left-handed hitter. Those could come in one package. They could come separately as well. But when you look at the outlook of next year's team as of 7 hours ago, and you look at Cade Arambidi, and you look at Omar Cerna, you look at those two guys being the centerpieces of your power production with Mason Braun, and then, of course, you add Dawson Park to the equation. Only Braun is left-handed, and I do believe Mason Braun is going to hit for some pop in his sophomore and junior seasons at LSU, but he didn't necessarily do that as a freshman. You needed some left-handed thump in your lineup, and we talked about Jason Walks from Tulane, and I told you yesterday that I believed Bino Waters was very likely to end up in Austin, Texas. And I think as of yesterday morning, that's Tuesday morning, as of Monday afternoon, evening, most people felt that way. That was the feeling in Austin. That was the sense I gathered from around here. But we know in this day and age, especially when dollars and cents are very upfront and involved, things can change pretty quickly. We saw LSU lose a football commitment who was committed to LSU and tweeting positive things about LSU just hours later flipping to Miami. Things happen quick in recruiting. And this happened quick, and LSU lands the top player in the transfer portal, according to multiple outlets, in Bino Waters from Notre Dame. I tweeted this out, and I will say it again for you on the air. I'm not going to try to minimize this one. As far as fits go in the transfer portal, aside from a true, bona fide top 30 pick ace at the top of your rotation, there is no fit better out of the portal for the 2027 LSU baseball roster than a left-handed hitting outfielder with exceptional bat-to-ball skills and some pop. That is what you get with Bino Waters. I did a lot of looking into Bino Waters this morning. Full disclosure, the 1.5-year-old, he's sick. He's got 102 fever. That means Dad was at home with him this morning while Mom was at work, and we switched while Dad has to go to his show. And he slept a lot this morning. So I was able to do a lot of at-home research on Bino Waters. The numbers are very obvious. So let me lay those out for you from this past season. He played in 53 games, 53 starts, a lot of that in left field, some as a DH. He has played some right field at Notre Dame, but he's a hitter. 362 this season for Notre Dame. His OPS, 1057, up over 1,000. He hit 18 doubles, 10 home runs. He drove in 51. You look to his walk to strikeout, and over the course of 53 games, he struck out 37 times with 27 walks. The walk rate's not extremely high, but the strikeout rate for a guy that hits 363 with 10 home runs and 18 doubles is very, very low. He has only struck out 59 times over the course of 2 seasons. That's 382 at-bats at Notre Dame. These are the numbers. Now, if you want to go, well, the ACC is not the SEC, we just watched some guys try to come into the SEC out of the transfer portal. One from Big Bad Oregon State who couldn't hit at LSU. One from Kansas State who wasn't as good as LSU. Like, if you're not in the SEC, how do we really know? And I would say that's fair based on what we saw last season. That's fair. There have been some guys who have come into the SEC and have not lived up to the billing. That's happened at LSU. It's happened at other places. But there are plenty of guys who have transferred from elsewhere, and it has worked. And I'll tell you this, North Carolina and Florida State pitch like SEC teams. North Carolina is headed to Omaha. They pitch like an SEC team. Florida State has dudes. And that's the sample size of regional hosts that I have out of the ACC here that they played against at Notre Dame. And over those two series, 6 games against North Carolina and Florida State, 9 for 21. That's a 4.29 average. He had 2 doubles, a triple, and 2 home runs against those two teams. It's a tiny sample size. It's 6 games, okay? He was 1 for 5 against LSU in Jacksonville. It was a single. It's a small sample size. That's 7 games. But that's the numbers. Now, let me tell you what I saw when I watched Bino Waters hit on tape. His Instagram page, by the way, if you go to his Instagram page, a lot of his swinging the bat. And that's really helpful. It's a really quick way to watch him. Now, of course, he's not going to show himself striking out. He's not going to show himself fouling off a 3-1 heater at the belt. He's going to show the best things that he did. But there's something to draw from that. And we heard Jay Johnson give his profile for what he thought they missed on in the portal last year and what he was going to look for this year. He said, we chased power. And you say, well, this guy hit 10 home runs. Like, you feel like that's kind of a power hitter. Not really. He's a 362 hitter. But if you want to go that way, here's what he meant. And he said this out loud. I'm not even inferring anything. This is literally what he said, black and white. When they went and recruited some power to try to replace Fry and Jones, they got guys who can hit for power against lesser pitching when they sell out to get to their front side and pull the ball over the fence. That's the type of power hitter you got. I don't mean to pick on guys, but this is just actuality. Braden Simpson hit his home runs to the pull side at High Point. Zach York hit his home runs to the pull side at Grand Canyon. Go look at Trent Carraway's home runs from the regional last year at Oregon State. He was the regional most outstanding player. He hit 5 home runs in the regional. Look where he hit them. They're all to the pull side. Most college hitters, especially sophomores and juniors who have matured into their bodies, can hit home runs to the pull side when pitchers make mistakes. What Jay Johnson is saying is, we'll take power hitters. I need guys that don't have to sell out to power. They just have it. Ball's away, it's hanging, drive it the other way. You miss up and in, and I'm looking for it 2-0, bam, pull it into the seats. Look at Bino Waters' home runs at Notre Dame this year. Most of the ones I saw, I don't have the actual data on how many of the 10 were opposite field. Most of the ones on video, on Twitter or on his Instagram, are to the opposite field or to the center field. This guy hits the ball where it's pitched. He hit a home run against Wake Forest as a freshman that I saw on Instagram. You know how small that ballpark is at Wake. It's a bandbox. But the pitcher missed up and in. And he spun on it, and he hit it over the trees in right field. He's a left-handed hitter, as we mentioned, over the trees in right field. Just a mammoth shot. But you look at some of the other home runs from this year, and you'll see balls out over the plate, up. Bam, just pokes it into the seats in left field. There's some great videos, clips of him driving the ball up the middle on a line. This is a pure hitter. This is a guy who I saw multiple sources on Twitter who do draft evaluations. I say multiple because one guy can say anything, but if you look at them, that are suggesting this could be a first-round pick next year. D1 Baseball says this is the best bat in the portal. Baseball America says this is the best bat in the portal. And LSU beat out Texas for the best bat in the portal. And his fit, being a corner outfielder, left or right, depends on what else they add and what gets through the draft and what the case may be. He's not a center fielder, but his run tool is okay. He's not slow. But he is a left-handed barrel finder with some juice. And that is exactly what LSU needed. Exactly what LSU needed. Now you look at what LSU has with the early looks of its nucleus. And you've got Cerna and Aaron Beatty, who will hit in the top 5 of the lineup with power from the right side, right? Now you've got Braun and Waters, who will hit in the top 5 of the lineup with some pop, and both of them are elite on-base guys. You know how well Mason Braun drew walks this past year. You know about his on-base streak, and you look at Waters, his on-base this year, ACC team, 447. He got on base 45% of the time. So you've got two guys who are left-handed with some power, who are great on-base guys. You've got two guys who are right-handed with tons of power, in Aaron Beatty and Cerna. That is part of the top 5 of your lineup. You've got Dawson Park, who at his best is a really good hitter with some power from the right side, who's a great athlete who can run. At his floor, he's a premium defender at shortstop or third base or second, who can hit 8th. He can run some balls out of the yard. He can get on base. He can steal, and he might strike out a bunch because we're talking about his floor here, right? And then you've got Ruckert and Patrick, who now, over the course of the last 7 days, Ruckert and Patrick have gone from, okay, these are like the 3rd and 4th guys that you know you're going to be able to count on, to, these guys, now that you've added 2 premium bats out of the portal, 2 of the top 15 bats in the portal, now that you've added that, they go down to the 6th and 7th guys in your lineup at this point, which is a much more comfortable position. Both those guys are very capable of becoming a really good college player. They got tools. They're Louisiana guys. They played as freshmen. They showed some good things. But I don't want to go into next year with those guys being like 4th and 5th on the priority sheet. I want them 7th or 8th. And that's where they are right now, and they'll get a summer under their belt playing a lot of baseball. But Bino Waters is a huge, huge, huge commitment. Huge commitment. And it suggests that LSU is willing and now able to play in the deep end. They really didn't last year. You can say that's because they were in Omaha. You can say that's because they didn't have the funds. You can say that's because Jay Johnson just missed on evaluations or missed on guys they got on campus. But they did not land the best of the best out of the portal last year. Like, Chris Akopian went to Texas A&M. He's going to be a top 10 pick, transferred from Maryland. LSU didn't get that guy. So you look at what they've done now, and by a couple of outlets, the top 2 players in the portal, Landon Hood and Bino Waters, LSU has landed them, and it's a transformational thing for next year's roster. It will surprise me 0% if Bino Waters hits 2nd or 3rd on opening day next year. That is game-changing. No matter how you want to slice it, it's game-changing. And this was a big, big day for LSU baseball to land Bino Waters. I thought he was going to Texas. I said it yesterday. I wrote it on LouisianaSports.net. Most people thought he was going to Texas. No one suggested it was done because it's recruiting and things happen really quickly. Well, all of a sudden, you get that news on the internet today, and that changes the equation for LSU baseball next year, and I am fired up about it. I know Jay Johnson is as well. Bino Waters, newest addition to LSU's transfer portal class, and hopefully the Tigers aren't done. We shall see. All right, we'll get back into baseball here because I want to continue this. I want to look in our next segment about where LSU goes next, because I think this is an impactful thing in multiple facets, landing Waters. What does it mean for the next 3 weeks and the next 2 months? I'll talk about that next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Go check out Marucci. Go take a tour. Why would you take a tour of Marucci? Well, it's an incredible facility, 1. 2, their story is unbelievable. If you haven't heard it, go hear it. It's just 2 former MLBers, their trainer, in a shed in the backyard, decided to make a bat. And all of a sudden, they got some folks saying, that's pretty good. So they kept making them. They kept improving upon them. And then they got into the big time. And now, 22 years later, they're official bat of Major League Baseball. Go learn that story. I'm leaving out a lot of details, I promise. You can go learn that story. You can also go into the hitter's house. What's the hitter's house? Well, it's their cages. It's their training center. You need to pitch, you need to hit. Well, it's 102 degrees outside at 3 o'clock. I don't really want to be out there. Well, go inside of the hitter's house. Well, it's raining at 4 o'clock every day. That makes it tough when I get off work to work with my kid. We'll go to the hitter's house. You get that key card access 24/7. You can get into the cages at the hitter's house. Check them out online at MarucciSports.com. Get that ticket to the hitter's house. Get that ticket to a campus tour. It's all there at Marucci.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools.
What If Wednesday is coming up in 12 minutes. If you've got a what if for us, we're looking for 2 or 3 more for that segment. Text us, 225-499-1045. That's 225, obviously, 499-1045. Very simple. Just send us a text message with a what if. We will get to those coming up in our next segment. You can make it football. You can make it recruiting. You can make it baseball, basketball, anything else. Just whatever you got. What If Wednesday, an equal opportunity employer, whatever you want to do, we'll talk about it if you send us a text at 499-1045. Also want to remind you about my friends at Renaissance Homes and Pools. They bring our shows every single Wednesday. And I was talking to Joey earlier this week, Joey Blanchard, the owner there at Renaissance Homes and Pools, and it's not just building a brand new pool that they do at Renaissance Homes and Pools. If you already have a pool, but it's 10 or 15 years old, it may be time to do a remodel. What does that mean? Well, plaster usually has to be redone every 10 to 15 years. So if it's fading, maybe it's peeling, Renaissance Homes and Pools can come in and remove that old and reinstall new plaster. They don't have to remove the water line. They may, since you're updating your pool, but you don't have to do it. You can make your pool look brand new. And that remodel can expand to the decking, to your pool equipment. Maybe you add automation, control the pumps, control the heater, control the lights, the valves. You can really spruce up that pool, bring new life to it with a remodel if it's been 10, 15 years since you've touched it. Renaissance Homes and Pools, happy to do that kind of work for you. Just reach out to Joey. Send him a text. I give you his cell phone number every single week on the show. That is, of course, 225, where he's right here in Baton Rouge, 252-7745. It's 225-252-7745. Renaissance Homes and Pools are online at builtbyrenaissance.com, builtbyrenaissance.com. All right, before we get to What If Wednesday, I want to stick with LSU baseball recruiting right now because obviously such a big day with Bino Waters committing. And I'm going to tell you this. This is a promise you're getting from me. I'm going to call him Dino Waters at some point because for some reason that just sounds right to me. And Bino's a more common name than Dino. Bino, I just think Dino for some reason. And every time I say his name out loud, I have to think about it.
Dino Waters sounds like an all-time Little League name. Like this guy just rakes.
And it's Bino, and like I'm being full disclosure here. I have a tab up with his statistics right here, and every time I'm about to say his name, I look down at the tab to make sure I say the right thing. I will say Dino at some point, but it is Bino, and LSU got Bino Waters today. So what does that mean moving forward? Well, as I look at the roster, you feel great at catcher with Cerna and Aaron Beatty offensively. Can they add a defensive catcher? I would love that. That would probably come fairly cheap. Maybe get a senior who's a glove man who may be able to come in the 8th or 9th inning. You got to work with Aaron Beatty and Cerna to get better defensively, and they got better this past year than they were in the fall. The fall, y'all, was a tough scene behind the plate. But they got better. They weren't great. There were way too many wild pitches, way too many pass balls. Absolutely. But they got a little bit better as the season went on. They were certainly better than they were in the fall. But if you want to add a defensive catcher, that'd be great. You're good at first base because you've got Cerna, Aaron Beatty, and then Braun has shown he can play first base as well. On the middle infield, Ruckert is there. Dawson Park is there. You've got John Pearson over at third base. I would like to add another infielder as well. And then in the outfield, you're probably a man light. You got William Patrick. You bring in Bino Waters, and you probably need to add another outfielder as well. Pitching was your Achilles heel this past year. You got to supplement that even further. Landon Hood, you brought in. Jay Johnson, I know, feels confident in Kason Evans, William Schmidt, Cooper Moore, Marcos Paz, Reagan Ricken, Danny Lockenmeyer, Santiago Garcia, Ethan Plog. Those guys figure to all be back, but I think you got to add to that. Now, here's the whole situation as I lay that out. I'm not suggesting LSU doesn't have concerns to fill. I just laid them out for you. Here's the deal. Landon Hood is the number 1 pitcher in the transfer portal. And he has 2 years of eligibility remaining. That means he cannot be cheap. Like, for you to go in and get that guy, the top arm in the portal, for 2 years, that's going to cost money. Bino Waters is the number 1 hitter in the transfer portal. Texas is involved heavily. A&M got a visit. So you know that cost of business is going up. You've got the top 2 guys in the portal. That price is going up. Now, Dawson Park, there was a little bit of question about his departure from Texas State. That may have affected the price. Maybe it didn't. But I'm just looking from the outside. You've signed 3 guys. All 3 have high draft grades for their draft year. That'll be next year for Waters and for for Park. That'll be in 2 years for Hood. But you've got 3 guys at the top end of the portal. That costs money. And I don't know how much money LSU has, but I'm also telling you that before you sign another transfer, which they may sign 5 more, but before you sign 1 more, you do have to consider what's coming in the middle of July. That's the MLB draft. And if you've got a guy who is projected in the top 15 picks of the draft, you've got, over the last couple of years, Robbie Snelling or Cam Caminiti. Oh, Connor Griffin. Perfect example. Connor Griffin. You don't really have to keep a lot of NIL rev share money off to the side for Connor Griffin, right? He's going in the first 15, 20 picks. He's signing for $4 million. He's not coming here. This LSU signing class doesn't have a Connor Griffin. It's got a couple of guys at the top in Logan Schmidt and Hirschhorn, and there are a couple of guys who are first-round picks who you don't figure you're going to get. But there are a lot of guys in this class, a lot of guys who are late second round, mid-third round, mid-fourth round selections. And those come with $1.7 million signing bonuses. If you're going to convince kids to hang up the phone on $1.7 million and show up at LSU, you better have some money laying around for them. So you can't blow your entire kitty on portal guys because you're going to lose your whole signing class. And we know how vital those signing classes are. You're just not going to win a lot of championships without Cade Anderson and Jared Jones and Derek Curiel and Stephen Milam and Dylan Cruz and Trey Morgan and Ty Floyd and all these guys. Yes, there have been transfers that have been massively impactful on both title teams. I'm not here to minimize Skeens or White or Ianson or Dickinson or any of that. I'm not here to minimize any of that. But you do need program guys that you bring in and develop. You need Jake Brown. And so you've got to get those guys in the door. And you've got a big class here. And look back on Jay Johnson's time here. Milam really contributed as a freshman. Kaysen Evans really contributed as a freshman. Jared Jones really contributed as a freshman. You see that every single year somebody steps up. Of course, Cerna and Braun this year. So you can count on probably 1 or 2 of those guys really making a nice transition and impact on next year's team, and you get them for 2 or 3 years. So that may be the guy you want to prioritize over spending the cash on the portal. The calendar is bad because you have to deal with your portal before you know what the freshman draft class is going to do. And that's a hard thing to juggle. But Jay Johnson spends a lot of time talking to these high school recruits. And he gets a decent feel of how things are playing out pre-draft. And sometimes he gets blindsided, and sometimes you get surprised. There was a time there where they did not think at all they were getting William Schmidt, and all of a sudden he pulled out of the draft. And then you've always got 2 or 3 guys who the staff feels good they're going to get to campus, and they sign for the money in the MLB draft. And so you don't know any of that while you're still shopping in the portal. So LSU is, I don't think is the big word here. I don't know. I think that LSU is probably done in the luxury aisle of the portal. I think. I'm not sure. I don't know what the finances are. You think Jay Johnson and that building is tight-lipped on injuries? Let me tell you about the NIL money. That's not coming out quickly. But it stands to reason that as much money as you probably had to spend on Landon Hood and then on Bino Waters, a premium 4th transfer feels a little bit unlikely. Can you find someone like Chris Stanfield? Yeah, I think so. A contact-hitting, good defensive outfielder? I think you can find that. Can you find a senior defensive catcher? I think you can find that. Can you find a right-handed reliever that throws 94, 95? Yes, I think you can find that. But as far as like an ace, probably not. As far as, one of the top 4 bats remaining in the portal, it would surprise me. I'm just telling you, it would surprise me because I think you've probably spent the vast majority of your cash. And I think that's the right thing to do. I think that Will Wade has the right idea in basketball. I think that Lane Kiffin has the right idea in football. They are opposite of each other. And then I think Jay Johnson is settling on what he wants to do with baseball. Will Wade said, we paid 13 guys at NC State. That was dumb. That helps in practice. It doesn't help in the game. I'm not playing 13 guys. I'm playing 7 or 8. We need to spend money on 7 or 8 guys. They're going to spend money on 7 or 8 guys and fill out the rest of the roster. 7 or 8 guys are who's on the floor. Your top 3 guys are going to have the basketball in their hands all the time. That's who you need to spend money on. Who cares what your 11th guy makes or what he does? No. Lane Kiffin says the opposite. I could go get Cam Coleman for all my receiver money, or I could go get 7 of them. And if I get 7 guys that can run and 7 guys with some athleticism and plug those guys into my system, it's going to work. I don't have to worry about injuries, and I'm going to get guys on the field. I like both of those ideas. They're opposite. I like both. For baseball, go get the studs. Go get the studs. You need to get guys who can strike guys out. You need to get guys that can hit home runs. You need to get guys that can play defense. Go get the studs. Because LSU, you'll be able to fill the roster in with some guys who can help. And right now, LSU went and got the studs. And you've got some on your roster as well. So I'm going to be guarded personally in my expectation for LSU in the transfer portal the rest of the way the next 2 weeks. I hope so hard that they prove me wrong. I would be thrilled if they go out there and land 2 more absolute studs. But I'm just kind of assessing the situation and thinking that's probably a lot of your portal budget because you have got to save some money for this freshman class. It is really talented. It is really deep. And there are going to be some guys that go pro, but there are going to be some guys with some decisions to make. Those are the guys you want on campus for 2 or 3 years. That's what you got to do. So that's a look at LSU baseball transfer portal. Bino Waters commits to LSU. We talked about it at the top of the show and kind of talked about where that takes you from there. So we'll shift gears. We'll talk to Zach Pearson, a former LSU baseball pitcher who's now nurse practitioner with Oxford. That's coming up in 15 minutes when we come back. Send us a text, 225-499-1045. It's What If Wednesday.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Fabry Chevrolet GMC, FabryChevrolet.com, FabryChevrolet.com. Every car that is online is on the lot. Every car that is on the lot, you guessed it, is online at FabryChevrolet.com. Go see him, Highway 61 in St. Francisville. It's such a short drive from here in Baton Rouge. If you're north of town and in Baker or Zachary, Scotlandville, it's right there. If you're in the Felicianas or over in Point Capee, check out Fabry Chevrolet GMC. If you're looking for a new Chevy Tahoe, if you're looking for a new Chevy Suburban, they've got it. Maybe you're looking for a pre-owned vehicle. They've got those as well. New truck, they got the Silverados, they've got the GMC Sierras, and great deals on those throughout the month of June. So go by and see them. If you've got a family road trip coming up and you want to take the kiddos to wherever it is you're going, need a new vehicle for it, Fabry Chevrolet GMC is happy to do it for you. They're right there on Highway 61 in St. Francisville. Check them out online at FabryChevrolet.com.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools.
Chat with our guy, Zach Pearson, former LSU left-handed pitcher, now a nurse practitioner with Oxford, coming up here in about 10 minutes. First, let me remind you about my friends at Gotros Outdoor Power for the entire month of June, which we're in the middle of at this point on June 10th. They got great savings on their Hustler series. On the Raptors, $200 off. On the Fast Track series, $500 off. And listen to this, the Hustler commercial mowers, up to $1,500 off throughout the month of June. And keep this in mind, 5 days away, June 15th through June 20th, Father's Day week, customers can get those discounted prices and no sales tax. So if you're in the market for a zero-turn mower, if you're looking for a Hustler, there's no better spot, there's no other spot than Gotros Outdoor Power to check them out. You can go see them at Airline Highway in Baton Rouge. You can go see them in Gonzales. Been at it for 22 years. The deals are real. The customer service is fantastic as well. They've got trailers that can get that that mower that is sent to your house. They've got trucks on the road 8 hours a day if you're looking for parts, largest parts inventory in the state. It's Gotros Outdoor Power. Check them out at GoTrosOnline.com, GoTrosOnline.com. All right, not take it or leave it. That would be the end of the show. This would be What If Wednesday.
Time, space, reality. It's more than a linear path. Where a single choice can branch out into infinite realities. Follow me and ponder the question. What if?
All right, so this is from the text line. What if Hunt had to choose between these two scenarios? LSU gets smoked at Ole Miss, but embarrassed A&M at home, or LSU, wait, what is it? Wins at Ole Miss. I'm confused, Cassie. How does this go?
Let me read it.
I'm about to say, you read it.
I got the doc. What if LSU gets smoked at Ole Miss, but embarrasses A&M at home? So you lose at Ole Miss, but you win big against A&M.
Okay.
Or the opposite, meaning you go to Oxford, crush them, and at that point A&M comes to Tiger Stadium and smokes you again. Oof. So which one would you take? They're both similar games in terms of, if I take emotion completely out of it, just looking at the college football playoff.
That's hard, though.
It's similar. You would probably rather get smoked on the road as far as the college football playoff goes and handle your business at home. As far as emotionally,
you can't do that. You can't take emotion out of it.
Well, that's what I'm here for. I'm choosing. It's my emotion. So I'm not going to be in Oxford. I'll probably be at Coshada.
Okay.
And I'll probably have a bet on Ole Miss to help. So I'll probably take that. I'll probably get smoked at Ole Miss.
Wow.
And then annihilate Texas A&M and Texas. I don't want to sit through another A&M, them doing the goofy ass Warham and whooping all over the place in the south end zone while everybody's gone. I'm not dealing with that garbage again. That legion of dorks is not coming in here doing that. I'm not dealing with that again. So I can't have that. I'm going to go ahead and say we'll get smoked at Ole Miss and have us crush A&M at home. I'm not going to be in Oxford, so that's what I would choose. That's a very selfish answer, but it's what I'm going to take.
That's a long week. If we lose that Ole Miss, get smoked. Okay, they said get smoked, so that's the problem. Like, if you lose the Ole Miss, I think, no, I take that back.
Here's the deal.
Any loss is bad to Ole Miss.
Here's the deal.
Yeah.
Here's the deal. Whichever of those two teams beats LSU by 30 points this year,
they're going to be loud regardless.
I don't care. Show me your trophy case. It's empty. It's got mothballs on it. There's nothing happening there. So you can't say anything to me. That's how I feel, at least. Any A&M fan or any Ole Miss fan that wants to talk trash to me personally is going to fall on deaf ears. You have nothing in the grand scheme of anything. So that's where I land on the whole thing. You want to go win 3 national championships? You wanted to go do something like that? Then come talk. But at this point, I'm not going to listen to you. You want to talk trash as a Bama fan? Fire away. You want to go talk trash as a Georgia fan? Have at it. You want to talk trash even as like an Auburn or Florida fan? Good for you. Ole Miss and A&M, I got no time for it. Go win something of any circumstance whatsoever, and then I'll listen. But at this point, you can't talk trash to me. I'm not worried about it.
All right, so what if Lane Kiffin was actually hired as OC in 2017?
I mean, it obviously changes things. The first, when that Kiffin thing went up in smoke and he went to FAU, they hired Matt Canada, and those two got sideways 5 minutes into their deal. They went in a screaming match in Troy halftime, and they came out of halftime against Troy and stopped running motion, which was Matt Canada's entire offensive scheme was based in pre-stat motion, and they quit doing it. So, yeah, that was a disaster. Ed Ogeron never wanted to hire Matt Canada. He wanted to hire Lane Kiffin, and then when that didn't work, they basically handed him Matt Canada because he had said he was going to hire the best offensive coordinator in the country, and Canada had a really good year at Pitt, so they went and hired him. Like, it just didn't work, and that would have been a lot better. But ultimately, it landed on Steve Ensminger getting the job, which landed Joe Burrow and gave you the 2019. And guess what? I'll take a bad 2017 and a decent 18 for the brilliant 19. So I wouldn't change a thing about it.
All right, so what if Sorsby committed to LSU and received the same injunction? Would our fans and media defend him as adamantly as Texas Tech media is right now?
Yes, that's a fact. I've now seen enough on the internet of the people who cover their teams. And look, 88% of the people that cover college teams, maybe more than that, are just like me. They grew up a fan. They went to the school. They're diehards. Now, some of them would suggest that they have traded in their diehard fandom, which they had for 25 years, and they just put it off to the side and are now covering it as media.
Yeah.
That's a fine thing to portray. I think it's silly, but you can do that if you want. I see enough where it's always our team. It's always we're right. That's the way. And the people, they take up arms on social media and they're yelling at commenters and they're bashing people and trying to win the argument on Twitter. And I don't have any time for any of that either. I think that's silly as well. But yes, if Brendan Sorsby, if this was most of the people that cover LSU on the internet would be backing Sorsby because
100%.
Everyone backs all their guys all the time. Now, we'll see, because I'm not prepared to tell you that I feel great about R.J. Lewis's lawsuit that's coming to get him eligible after he played for two NBA teams, or was on two NBA teams. I just don't feel great about that. But yes, there would be a loud – the fans would be unanimously in support almost
100%.
Of the quarterback because they want to win games. That's just the way people think.
And especially, I feel like down here, it's a lot of Louisiana versus everybody mentality.
Yeah.
So it's like, you going against Sorsby, he's one of us, everybody's going to come at you. So what if you got to eat one steak in Omaha?
It's a good question. I kind of like vibes, ambiance kind of guy. And 801 gives you that. I don't know. The steak I had at 801 this past summer, last year in 25, wasn't awesome. The one I had in 23 was better. The best steak I had last year was Omaha Prime. It was awesome. And that was good vibes too. But I've been to the Drover. That's a real Omaha-y steakhouse, but it's real casual, which is good. And I enjoyed my time there. I kind of like a little bit more upscale when I'm eating a steak. I just kind of like the vibes in that. So I would probably go to 801, but Omaha Prime was really good. I'll be back there at some point.
Oh, you will be. Don't dwell on what's going on right now.
Bino's taking me back next summer.
Bino, my boy. So what if Hunt can only watch LSU football for the rest of his life or LSU baseball for the rest of his life? Which one would he choose?
I'm taking baseball. It just
you too, Cassie? Wow.
There are too many football games that don't feel like they matter.
Okay.
And when it matters, it's awesome. But now that we've torched the bowl system and it's only playoffs or bust, you can get yourself out of the playoffs by November 1st all the time. And I just would rather stick with it and have a chance. And I told you about that on Monday this past week. Kentucky was bad all year, and they had a chance to make the Supers and could have beaten Cal Poly in 2 games to go to Omaha. I don't think Oklahoma was worth a crap this year. They're in Omaha. I like the sport better. I like the journey of the season better. I love LSU football. You're not telling me, I'm not here to tell you that I hate LSU football. I only want to talk about baseball. I love LSU football. I love the Falls. I love my job in pre and post game. I love the energy in that stadium. I love everything that goes around it. But you're asking me to pick one, and I'm gonna pick baseball. It's just the way I'm gonna be wired.
Would you have said the same answer before this new college football playoffs, like the expansion and all that, or this is always?
The expansion made it better because now you got a better chance to make the playoffs. I think college football is better for that because that means, if you lose a second game, your season's over, and that can happen in September if you're not careful. In that instance, it's not even close. So this is better for that. But I just, it's so all or nothing in terms of football. And when you have it all in 19, in 11, in 7, in 3, it is, you can't beat that. But that's 4 seasons of my life that we've had that. It's hard. So I'll take baseball. But look, I think people will listen to that and go, this guy hates football. It's just so ridiculous. Baseball homer. Well, the question was, what if? I got to answer the question. I love football. I love LSU football. Give me the baseball.
All right, so that's it for What If Wednesday.
All right, we'll take a time out. Come back with Zach Pearson next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Love telling you about my friends over at Auctioner, and we'll chat with Zach Pearson from Auctioner coming up in our next segment. Look, all May long, we told you about Stroke Awareness Month, and I thought that was incredibly impactful. And in June, we're just talking about those who are athletes or just trying to stay active. Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute can help you get moving and keep moving. At Auctioner, you've got access to the highest levels of specialized care, nationally renowned expertise, the latest equipment, modern facilities, including a convenient walk-in orthopedic clinic at Elite Training Complex. You've got a sprain, you've got a strain, minor dislocation, sports injuries, or maybe sudden or ongoing non-spine-related musculoskeletal pain. go see our friends at Ochsner, including at the walk-in clinic over there at Elite on Burbank. You can check them out online at ochsner.org/brortho. That's ochsner.org/brortho.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools.
Wrapping up hour number 1 here, Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. It's that time of the week where we always talk to a representative from our friends over at Ochsner. It's our pleasure to welcome to the show this afternoon former Tiger left-hander and now with Ochsner, Zach Pearson, joins us on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Zach, thanks for the time. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
It's our pleasure. I had no idea what you were doing, and we'll certainly get to that here at the end of the interview. But I want to talk some baseball with you, if that's okay. And for those that are trying to picture when it was that Zach was on the team, it was 2014, 2015. 2014, the famous Rally Possum team, and then 2015, absolutely one of the best teams in school history. Go back to that 2014 year. You made 31 appearances for that team that didn't get off to a great start, but caught fire late with the rodent on the field. What are your memories of that?
LSU is a very special university. They're able to kind of turn anything into something to rally behind. And I think, even as a player, you kind of recognize that. You can kind of feel the energy there. And so whenever something like that starts to happen, you just lean into it, and it just kind of creates the story itself. It's always fun. You just lean into it and just appreciate that. That's what's so special about being at that university.
That 15 team you were on the next year went 54-12. Andrew Stevenson made the big leagues. Bregman's obviously become a star in the big leagues. Jake Fraley was on that team as well. What are your recollections of that team? Because unfortunately at LSU, those teams that I've talked to Kramer Robertson about this, those teams that don't hoist the trophy at the end sometimes get left in distant memory. But that was a special team. What are your recollections of that group?
I mean, you're spot on with that. It's we had a lot of great players. As a locker room, it was a very special team as well. I'm thankful for those memories. Obviously you kind of go through all of the year and you hope that you could have the trophy at the end. But I guess the benefit of being at a place like LSU, you want that pressure because you want to be at a place that's able to win that often. And so whenever you are one of the teams that doesn't get there, it is what it is. But that's the beauty of being over there. A lot of schools can't say that they have that same level of pressure on their players.
You got a chance to toe the rubber TD Ameritrade at the time in Omaha, Nebraska. What was that like for you as someone who grew up in Louisiana to wear the purple and gold and play in Omaha?
Dream come true. That one, getting to play in Hoover was another one as well. You just kind of grow up watching LSU teams succeed in those venues. And I know that the field in Omaha changed, but it's still Omaha. And so as a growing up in Louisiana, you watch LSU teams do those things, and it's all you want to do. So I always appreciated, I would try to remind myself, we had our logo embroidered on the glove, so I would always look down at that and just kind of use that to ground myself in a way of this is what I've been trying to get to my whole life. So, don't rush through it, appreciate it, do what you got to do.
Well, he was incredible. He's Zach Pearson joining us here. 62 appearances in the purple and gold over 2 seasons, played for one of the best teams in the history of the program. But now you're with Ochsner. Tell us about your journey from the baseball field into the professional world.
I bounced around, went a lot of different places. After LSU, played a little bit in the minor leagues, and then once they told me to stop coming, you kind of start leaning into, I guess the natural pull is always coaching. I love working with athletes. So your natural is to go into coaching, but I kind of wanted to do something. I had a biology degree from LSU already, and I kind of wanted to do something that could kind of combine those two worlds. And so ended up going into nursing. I was working in the ICU during COVID in Baton Rouge, and there was, as that wave kind of finished up, it's coincidental, but I wanted to work in sports medicine. I wasn't really sure how to angle my way into that field. And I ended up reaching out to Dr. Burnham. This was years ago. And I kind of asked for his advice. And part of his advice was to end up going back to school, get my master's, because I had the bachelor's. But he was like, if you do this, then you'll be able to do more clinic-based stuff. And so then coincidentally, a few years later, I was finishing up my master's and they were hiring at this Ochsner clinic for a nurse practitioner. So I reached back out to him and I was like, hey, I'm back. I followed your advice. So I was able to kind of get in there, and it's been a very fun transition. I'm glad to be able to have a way to kind of work with young athletes and get them kind of back to their return to play. It's honestly, I take sort of a coaching approach to it in a way.
That's really cool to see your way, kind of work your way back into sports through probably an untraditional route. Probably not one you thought of. Did you ever think of nursing when you were younger?
Oh no,
Okay.
no. This was kind of a decision that I made in the moment of being on the back end of baseball, and you're kind of just grasping at straws. Like, what do I do? You're brainstorming ways to kind of find a path that suits your skill set. And so that's just kind of what we landed on. And I just pursued it 100%.
We've got about a minute to go here, Zach, but I also want to give you the opportunity to talk about the cool stuff that y'all have got going on over there at Elite.
Oh yeah. This place is fascinating. It's, they're driving athletes through this place constantly. We have various teams that'll come, they'll reserve time spots outside and they'll practice and this and that. And the beauty of it is that not only do they get strength and conditioning going on, but they have workers like myself and the other clinicians that rotate through there. But if these athletes get injured, or anyone else, if they get injured and it's just an awkward time and they don't want to wait a long time for an appointment, they just want to be seen right away. I'm there weekdays 10A to 10P. And so athletes will get hurt during games or outside during practice. They can roll right through and they can kind of get seen right away. And our idea there, I guess, is, just kind of streamline. Let's get right back to recovery. Let's not waste time between the injury and starting to improve again.
Zach, we so appreciate some time, man. Congratulations on your success. Let's do it again soon.
I appreciate it, Hunt. I'm a big fan. Thank y'all for having me.
That's Zach Pearson, former Tiger. Hour 2
The
next.
Hunt Palmer Show.
Hour 2 coming up next. First, let me tell you about Swing Easy Golf Club in Baton Rouge. SwingEasyGCBR.com is that website. It's almost the weekend. Do you have a tee time? No? That's okay. You don't have 5 hours on the weekend to go out there and play a round of golf? You can do it in about an hour at Swing Easy Golf Club. I told y'all back on Monday we had an opportunity to put 2 of our listeners in a match over at Swing Easy. And before they got there, I was going to go play 9 holes at Cypress Point because I think it's one of the coolest courses in the world. I'd played 6 holes in like 15 minutes. If you're by yourself, you can play 18 holes absolutely in half an hour. And it's drives, it's iron shots, there's chipping, you hit putts as well. It's not the same thing as playing outside, but it is golf. And if you're looking to do it out of the elements and you're looking to do it in a time constraint, maybe on the weekends or right after work before dinner, Swing Easy Golf Club, Stegan at Perkins. They're online at swingeasygcbr.com.